think at a minimum we can describe this as just a mess. And the compassion with which the administration said was behind all of their policies seemed to be lost in a cruelty at people being fanned out all around the United States, not necessarily knowing where they're going to go as money runs out to take care of them. It seems like this situation has absolutely climaxed, and the question is, what now for this administration?
Yes, I absolutely agree. I think mess is generous. Humanitarian crisis and heartbreaking is a more accurate way to describe this. I take the subway to and from work every single day, and it's devastating. See these Venezuelan women that are selling candy on the subway, one child strapped to them, walking, holding the hand of a 3-4-year-old. I have a 2-year-old. That little gate, you don't want to see that, asking people if they want Oreos. I do think the most important thing that can be done, actually it's two-pronged. One, we saw a tease in Axios a few days ago that there could be an executive action taken by the Biden administration in advance of the State of the Union. Do it. Do it today, do it tomorrow, do it as fast as you possibly can, whatever is available to you. That will also strengthen your argument that Republicans should pass the bipartisan deal. James Langford is the Republican that authored this. He is not a mushy moderate or a rhino or anything of the sort. Donald Trump endorsed him, talked about how strong he was on the immigration issue. The head of Border Patrol has endorsed the Border Patrol union. You're not going to get a better deal ever. If you care, pass that bill.
I mean, I will say, look, there are two things happening here. I am with you. My heart breaks for unaccompanied minors.
I believe you.
For families who cross the border, it's devastating to see. I wish Kamala Harris would have gone to some of these emergency and safe facilities. She chose not to. I wish the president would have gone. He has not. That is the president's own making, this border crisis. 94 executive actions from President Trump unwound in the first 100 days. The fire on our southern border, the heartbreaking images in the subways of New York do not happen absent Biden. I'm with you that I think he should take executive action. He has 212F power under the Immigration and Nationality Act. Trump was struck down for using this power in 2018, but it allows you to suspend any class of aliens that prove a detriment. I argue we are in a much different place today than 2018. It is detrimental what's happening on our border. President Biden, please take that action. You need this to go away politically. We need this to go away in practicality.
Yeah, I appreciate the empathy, the sympathy, the heartbreaking, and I understand that. I'm not immune to it. I grew up in a border town. Dalton, Georgia, 78% Hispanic. Those are mostly Mexican migrants that came to Georgia to become Americans, and that's important to me. My heart breaks for the kids in the foster care system in this country, and my heart breaks for the people that are victims of the healthcare and pharmaceutical industries in this country. And I think that if we can't fix those problems for our citizens, why are we piling people into those problems to make them even worse? Go to Texas and ask them about their foster care system. Great, that's a border problem too.
Yeah, my mom being a social worker and from Texas when she was alive. Yeah, I mean, look at it. And we've had problems along the way. This has been decades of poor leadership on legal immigration issues in this country. But let's not miss what's happening right now. These people are coming from far, far away. And I had asked Bill if he would ask that question about where people are getting the money. I think it's important that we know you're not coming from West Africa for free.
Yeah.
Right? And you said so beautifully during the commercial, you said, well, why didn't they stop in Brazil? Like, why is here the only place that people can come from asylum or come for help from that far away?
Paul was supposed to fix that, right? Root problem.
Well, Kaylee said she didn't go to the intake center, so she didn't feel the emphasis to fix, because that's where you learn it. When you see those babies and on the subway, a lot of times those moms aren't even near those children. Those kids are roaming. Trying to sell whatever they're trying to sell. So if you have a heart for this, you want to fix it at the intake center point where it punches you right in the heart.
Where kids are on suicide watch lists.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's every state in the republic.
Yeah, and I think about payment. I think about how much we pay with our tax dollars, how much we pay with our safety in the streets that have been eroded, with our sympathy and empathy, and how much all of those migrants are paying with just simple ability to live. I mean, everyone is losing here, paying double thanks to this administration.
But Harris is... Well, it's not just due to his administration. Harris is right. This is a decades-long problem. Every single
during this administration. Donald Trump had this shit under control.
For those 5 decades.
Donald Trump had this shit under control.
Right now, I thought he was going to have some better ideas. Might be the words of a lot of Americans who voted for him.
All right, so much more to come, including this. Less than 24 hours now until the South Carolina primary. We'll look at Nikki Haley and
In Georgia say they're now investigating a homicide after a woman's body was found.
Everything good? Catch you later.
On the University of Georgia campus. Yesterday, the victim identified as 22-year-old Laken Hope Riley, a student at the nearby Augusta University College of Nursing, was found. Madison Scarpino is live in Athens, Georgia with the latest. Madison.
Kaylee, we are very close to where police found 22-year-old Laken Riley's body with visible injuries after she never returned home from a run. And this is a very popular jogging area at UGA. And Riley's death has a lot of students very scared, as you can imagine. Police say that there has not been a homicide on campus in 20 years. And right now, still no arrest and no suspect.
I know people who run these trails or walk these trails all the time. In our ecology classes, we do ecology and biology lab. We come here all the time for these labs. So it's kind of like spooky and surreal, like this could actually happen to someone.
The coroner here says that the cause of death is pending and the examination of Riley's body is happening today, but likely won't get results until Monday at the earliest, he says. Riley was a nursing student at Augusta University, as you mentioned, in Athens, and previously attended University of Georgia. UGA's police department got a call around noon yesterday from one of Riley's friends. The caller said Riley had gone on a run at the intramural fields and hadn't returned yet. About 30 minutes later, police found Riley's body in a wooded area near a lake, and the university is asking students to walk in groups and be aware of their surroundings during this really terrifying time for the community. And both UGA and the Augusta Nursing Athens locations is canceling classes until Monday, and they also have counselors available for students who need it. Kaylee?
Terrifying and tragic. Madison, thank you. Well, on to this. Former President Trump and former Governor Nikki Haley making their final pitches to voters in South Carolina ahead of tomorrow's GOP primary. The latest polling gives the former president a 28-point lead. Haley faces her biggest presidential test yet in her home state as she fights to stay in the race. You know, conventionally, if you've lost 3 states and on the precipice of potentially losing a 4th, if the polling is correct, we'll see, you would drop out of the race. But that's not the case, and Political Playbook asked why that's not the case, and I think they summed it up really well. Haley has a Republican voter problem, Harris, not a Republican donor problem. She brought in $9.8 million in January, Super PAC $5.8 million, and most of them $100,000 and above in donations. So pretty large donors.
So it's interesting. I mean, clearly her strategy has changed. You and I have talked about this before. Coming out of New Hampshire, her tongue was much more sharp against Donald Trump, and so you're now toying with a base that is looking to still listen to you, but isn't quite sure if you're going to be consistent on the issue of if you're with Trump or against Trump. So that's been an issue for her with voters that I've had in this very studio through Voters' Voices. The other thing, you know, when I interviewed her yesterday on The Focus, the other thing that is really kind of confounding is this way forward. And I know that her team had media on a call earlier today to talk about what happens after South Carolina. But I asked her about, you know, which state do you think you can win? And by the way, it really has been 4. Because I know she didn't go up against Trump in a caucus, but she was in the primary in Nevada and lost to a category called none of the other candidates. So, I mean, this is a problem. Is it unsurmountable? You know, me and my faith, I don't think anything is. But you do have to have a course forward, and so that's kind of where I think voters, separate from donors, voters are looking for that kind of go forward. Some of the donors are doing the calculation on those 91 indictments against the president.
Yeah.
And so they want a backup plan. Their impetus for this is very different.
And Joey, I mean, there's a similar dynamic in every state. Jonathan Martin of Politico pointed it out. Working class voters are with Trump, where the wealthy Republicans, independents, and some Democrats are with Haley, but the working class voters make up a huge part of the party. Trump has transformed the party.
No, Trump's support has only grown because people sit at home and they go, the government came after me one time, I didn't like it. They're going after him, I don't like that either. And they give President Trump for so many things. I have my own reservations about a second Trump term, I certainly do. I don't think the country was near as broken in 2016 as it is now. I think he unleashed prosperity. Now he would have to go find it and fix it. And I don't know if he has those same tools. liberals. And it's not a hit against them. It's just we're in a very different place now. But Nikki Haley hasn't shown herself to be this tremendously better option. And lastly, nobody in this country knows Nikki Haley's leadership at a granular level like the residents of South Carolina. And if they don't pick her, to me, that's a very honest response to does she deserve to be president. And finally, since Citizens United, a lot of voters don't understand the fundraising mechanism and why so many people run. Not everybody running for president is trying to be president. They're trying to gather a lot of money so they have a war chest to push an issue after the primary. So maybe that's a part of her strategy as well.
And Emily, look, she's proven herself to be very good at winning suburban women, independents, but she's staring down Super Tuesday, and I mean, the margins are enormous. Trump beating her in double digits in almost every state.
Right. I think, we talked about this the other day, that per her campaign, they see the true barometer as after Super Tuesday. So they're looking,
They my ass. Y'all, these fucking commercials. I hate these fucking commercials.
they see South Carolina sort of as less important, even though you make an excellent point, that's her home state. And you made the great point the other day that 10% of those who live in South Carolina weren't living there when she was governor, and those trend more toward Trump. So I think she has sort of a longer finish line assessment. But I spoke with a voter the other day who said, look, we like Nikki Haley, but at this point, we feel, he said, that as she talks about unity for the party, then step aside, because the unity for the party clearly is behind Trump.
Look, if I'm Biden and I'm looking at this, Jessica, I'm very pleased with my fundraising. I'm pleased with my mail-in vote operation in the midterms. I'm pleased with my TikTok social media operation. But I'm not pleased with the enthusiasm of the Trump base. They are going to show up, and that is what would make me nervous.
Yeah, but they showed up in 2020 and Trump lost. It takes more than your base on the Democratic side and the Republican side. And the Biden coalition looks very different than the Obama coalition. It looks very different than the Hillary coalition, the Bill Clinton coalition. It's a lot of independents. It's a lot of moderates. Everything has been scrambled.
Can you do it without the black vote?
No, but we don't have to do it without the black vote.
In categories there.
An outlier poll.
And you do it without Arab Americans in Michigan in a swing state who are very angry.
The nature of a swing state is sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them. It's a long way to go. I hope for a multitude of reasons that the conflict in Gaza is over by then, but I'm not worrying about Michigan today. The original question was about these pitches, right? What is the final push going to look like? We know what Nikki Haley's going to say. Donald Trump gave us a preview of the final push. He was speaking last night, talking about getting rid of Roe, how everyone's happy about that. We know from all of the turnout in the special elections that that is not true. Forcing school prayer, something hugely unpopular. You talk about migrants streaming down Stake Mountain. You want to win the election, right? You don't want to just win the primary. January 6ers are hostages. No, the hostages are in Gaza, and the Department of Education being whittled down to one person
in all due respect,
to ensure we all speak English.
In all due respect, the talk that you bring up has not worked. I mean, you look at every national poll, minus Quinnipiac, President Trump is prevailing in them.
Then why is President Biden down just 1.9 points in the Real Clear Politics average? The cherry picking polls when it is so. Barack Obama was down 5 to Mitt Romney. I don't remember the administration at all.
He needs a reset. He knows it. State of the Union is supposed to be the reset. We will see. That is the reset that he needs.
I can't wait to.
I would advise changing the rhetoric. Hasn't worked. Reset the language. All right. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night. Brett Baer and Martha McCallum will host special coverage of the South Carolina primary starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on Fox News Channel. I'll be here on the panel, so tune in. It will be an exciting night as we see what happens in South Carolina. The New York Times fact-checking President Biden not sitting well with a liberal media analyst and former Democrat